We've got a couple of folks joining us here, Attorney Sam Adams Jr. and Kathleen Murphy, Communications Director for the Illinois Opportunity Project. Welcome to both of you. Let me start with this. Big rally for Donald Trump Friday. Things got pretty ugly, but he is still leading in the polls in the state. How surprised are you?
Not surprised at all. Nothing has been able to take Donald Trump off, of course. That rally, it helped him. It endears him to his supporters when they see people challenge him like that. So I think that they actually helped him by not letting him speak.
Sam, what did you make of it?
No question, she's 100% right that this is going to galvanize the troop behind him. Anytime you see the person that you believe in, the person whose ideas that seem to match yours being attacked, or you feel that he's attacked, that galvanizes the group. People are going to come out. I've had people tell me yesterday, folks who voted Democratic their whole life, that they felt that because of what happened on Friday, they're actually going to come out and vote for Trump just because they didn't like how he was treated. That seems to be the theme coming out of all this that he's capitalizing on.
Sam, Hillary Clinton was upset in Michigan by Bernie Sanders. She's leading in the polls here in Illinois. What are the chances that Sanders pulls off another upset?
Well, I'm not going to be the one to tell you it can't happen after that, for sure. But Sanders has been here. I've talked to a lot of people who are coming out, and they're starting to go to the rallies for him. They're starting to really appreciate the things that he is saying. So I would not surprise me if there was an upset. However, the vast majority of people seem to think Hillary's the one that can win in an overall election, and that's what's going to be driving this. Can she win when it comes in November? And she seems to be getting that vote.
Kathleen, a big day for Marco Rubio. He's in his home state of Florida, trailing badly in the polls.
Yeah.
If he loses, what does he do next? You expect him to get out?
I think Marco Rubio is already effectively out. I think actually the story is Ted Cruz's race. If he wins in Illinois, he's been campaigning hard in Illinois. He was in 5 different places in Illinois just yesterday. I think the story is him. If he can have the upset in Illinois, Trump's been pulling ahead, but if he gets the upset and he does well in the other states, then you really have a hardening around the mano-a-mano of Trump and Cruz.
1237 is the number of delegates that you need on the Republican side. Donald Trump just over a third of the way there. Does he get the number, or is there a brokered convention?
I think right now, depending on what happens today in Illinois, I don't think there's anyone but Donald Trump that can get it. Ted Cruz, even with his lead, needs about 2/3 of the remaining delegates. That's very hard to get. So I think it is very likely at this point to go to a convention, and that's not bad. It tests Trump's ability and Cruz's ability to build coalitions behind them. So I think at this point it's likely to go to a convention, but there's still a chance that one of them can take the majority.
We will see both of you back here at 6:30 to talk about
tonight at 7 when the polls close. There will also be live updates throughout the night as the results come in. And then at 9 p.m. we'll have an election wrap with reactions from the winners and losers. You'll also be able to get results as they happen on Fox32Chicago.com and the Fox 32 mobile app. George.
All right, Natalie, aside from the presidential primaries, one of the most closely watched races in Illinois, the Democratic primary for U.S. Senate. The winner of the race will face either incumbent Republican Senator Mark Kirk or his challenger, James Martyr. And now we have our two friends back, Sam Adams Jr., Kathleen Murphy, Communications Director for the Illinois Opportunity Project. Now, Duckworth had the backing of much of the Democratic Party's top leaders, high-profile friends in the race like Jesse Jackson, former White House Chief of Staff Bill Daley. Who's got the edge?
Well, Duckworth has the edge. Yeah, absolutely. I think she wins in the primary, and I think she wins in the general. Mark Kirk has not inspired the Republican base at all. He's voted against school choice. He's voted against. He was the only Senate Republican who voted against defunding Planned Parenthood. He's decidedly anti-Second Amendment. So he's really fallen in with these Washington Republicans that you see the Republican base sort of revolting against right now. So I think Duckworth wins decidedly in this race.
How much does Duckworth not participating in debates affect this?
Duckworth will go away right to Washington. I'm telling you that right now. She's going
no
to
difference
win
at all.
None whatsoever. She's up, I think, 72%. She's up by almost triple digits.
Yeah.
This is a Duckworth victory. As much as I like Andrea Zopp personally, Duckworth is going to win this and win it going away.
Let's turn to the Cook County State's Attorney's race. Anita Alvarez, the incumbent, Kim Fox, a former assistant state's attorney, and Donna Moore, of course, an assistant U.S. attorney. This is all going to center around this Laquan McDonald video. How does that impact this race?
It's going to impact it greatly. You know, one of the things I noticed in coming here this morning with a shooting of 3 police officers, which is terrible, very well may change a lot of the complexion even this morning with people coming out and saying, you know, I've heard from the state's attorneys, and that state's attorney's race seems to be around only how much are we going to prosecute police. Well, today brings back into focus the fact that there is rather a lot of crime in this city, and that people have to address that, and they need a prosecutor who's going to protect them. I can see the Laquan McDonald, if we have a big voter turnout in Chicago, if you have a lot of the urban areas voting, then I think that predicts well for Kim Fox. If we don't, if we have low voter turnout, like Bernie Sanders was saying, if we have a very low turnout here in the city, but the surrounding areas in the suburbs come out, that's going to be very good for Donna Moore and very good, certainly for Anita Alvarez. And so that's what I'm going to be looking for. What is the voter turnout? Because if you get the suburban areas turning out in big, huge numbers, Anita's going to win this.
Another important question on this is, if Anita does win, after everything that's happened, after the mishandling, the slow walking of the Laquan McDonald investigation, after the protests, after the recall Rahm efforts, what does that mean about how serious Chicago voters are for reform? What does that, and what does that mean for, on the flip side of an Alvarez victory, for a Republican candidate? There is one, Christopher Pancook, who's running. He's arguably one of the most qualified candidates. 31 years criminal prosecution experience. Is it time in Illinois for Republicans to get off the sidelines and really advance a reform agenda that empowers people to take control over their own lives?
Final quick question for both of you. How important is voter turnout both in the local races and in the presidential race?
Well, locally, for races such as the state's attorney race, it's huge. For the U.S. Senate, Duckworth is going to go away. There's no question about it. She's going to Washington. As far as, I think Bernie's 100% right. If we get huge turnout, especially in the city of Chicago and Cook County as opposed to the rest of the state, Bernie Sanders has a real chance if you get high numbers. If you don't, if we have a low number, which we typically have at this time of year, there's only been 2 other times the city of Chicago really came out, and that was for Mayor Washington and for Obama the first time. If this is not one of those times where you get big turnout, Hillary's going to go and win this race.
How do you see it?
I think on the GOP side, voter turnout's important. I think it's important for Ted Cruz because Donald Trump sort of hovers right around the 30–40%. So more voters who Cruz can mobilize to get out, especially in Illinois, where an upset again would really help his case against being that mano a mano with Donald Trump. The more voters he can mobilize and get out, the better chance he has of winning and being the challenger to Trump.
Should be a good.
So we're drilling down today, trying to just find out where this thing is going, not just here in Illinois, but across the country. And it's a huge day in politics, no question about that. Joined now by Attorney Sam Adams Jr. and Communications Director for the Illinois Opportunity Project, Kathleen Murphy. Thanks, guys, for being here once again.
Thank you.
Early morning for you, I know, but thanks for being here. So first of all, I'll start with you, Kathleen, in terms of Donald Trump. Now, if he can take Florida, and if he can take Ohio, of course, it's too close to call right now. But if he's able to win Florida and Ohio, a lot of experts say basically it's done. Do you buy that?
I've heard those projections. Actually, there has been a lot of late surge in Illinois. So Trump's ahead in the polls, but Cruz has been everywhere yesterday and today. There's been a really strong push from his campaign. So if he can pull off the upset today and take Illinois and do well in the other 2 states, then even if Trump wins in Florida and Ohio, there still is a path for to the victory for him, just based on the delegate count. Because even though Trump will have the delegate deficit, it hardens the case for the mano a mano. The plurality of delegates is then just redistributed, because if Trump wins, Rubio's out, Kasich is out. So
it's a one-on-one race.
There is a path for Cruz if he can win in Illinois.
Right, that's a big if. All right, Sam, on the Democrat side. Let's look at this thing. Bernie Sanders, of course, stunned the political world with the win in Michigan last week. He's in play in at least 3 of the states today. What is it that is going on with him and his campaign that he's been able to resonate, that he's gaining momentum and has a chance maybe to steal this thing from Hillary Clinton?
In its message, you got to understand that there's really a dichotomy in thought in this country, from the East Coast to the West Coast, which is big government versus trying to limit government. And Bernie is hitting and resonating with people who have this idea that there is too much wealth in a 1%. And that the rest of us are paying too much taxes. The rest of us are not getting the kind of education that we deserve. The rest of us don't have the things that we need because of the top 1%. And that government needs to step in and stem that tide. Now, that's something that's very powerful in states such as Michigan, where we have a Flint water situation where it looks as if the government knew what was going on and then didn't cap and change that. Or in a state like Illinois, where we have Laquan McDonald coming forward, and you're seeing these things where government, which is certainly police officers, doing these things, and that the government, as many people believe, are hiding those type of things. And so those who believe in that, those who see that, Bernie resonates with that when he says, listen, I can not only show you where the problem is, I have a way of fixing it, and that's government.
Okay. Let me jump in, too, real quickly. John Kasich is hanging around and seems to be gaining some strength in certain areas. He may win Ohio today, his home state. Is it too little too late, or can a victory in Ohio and a winner-take-all delegate situation change the dynamics of this race moving forward?
I really think it's too little too late for John Kasich. He is out. I think he's a little different than Rubio, that he won't get out of the race because he's in a different point in his career. John Kasich has been in the Senate. He's been the governor. This is really the last stop for him, whereas Marco Rubio has to consider his political future, and he needs to get out. But I really think that he's not going to. And if it goes to a contested convention, maybe he can hang around long enough, but I don't see it happening for Kasich.
10 seconds for me, Sam. Who wins the Democratic primary in Illinois today?
I believe it's a small turnout. It's going to be Hillary Clinton. Big turnout. It's going to be very, very close, and I think Bernie could eke it out with a big turnout.
All right. And Kathleen, on the Republican side, is it Trump, is it Cruz?
I'm all in on Cruz.
You're all in on Cruz. Now, is that your personal belief, or you think he's really going to win?
I think he's going to win.
Okay.
I think he's going to do it.
All right. Well, Kathleen, Sam, thanks very much for being here, sharing your thoughts. We really appreciate it.